Hello, welcome to Renew Our Minds. In the upcoming slides, we will go through how to memorize Psalm 139 in the English Standard Version step by step. This is an intermediate level video geared for those who have a habit of memorizing, are learning longer passages, and are gaining proficiency in different memorization methods. This video combines multiple memorization techniques, including using the rhythm and journey method. If you would like to learn more about just one of these methods, feel free to check out my other tutorials. Let's jump right in. So what is covered in these slides? I will share 5 things that helped me learn this psalm in the English Standard Version, which include how to prepare to memorize the psalm, how to use the story method for a tricky passage, how to use passwords to learn verses, how to learn the psalm with rhythm, and lastly, understanding parallelism, a common literary device used in the Psalms. I cover a lot of content, so feel free to go at your own pace. If you want to get the big picture, then watch the whole video through and then go back to the slides that you want to use in your memorization. So first, how can we prepare to memorize this psalm? First, read it over a few times to understand the big picture. Some Psalms of David correlate with a text from 1st or 2nd Samuel, but not for this psalm. If there was, though, I would read that text as well. My study Bible provided an outline that divided the psalm into sections, so I learned the psalm in these 5 groups. Then I used these sections to apply the journey method to remember the order of verses. If you would like to learn more about the journey method, check out my step-by-step tutorial using Matthew chapter 6 as an example. Next, the story method is one of the memorization techniques I use to learn Psalm 139. I found it tricky to learn verses 3 to 6. Then I remembered Dominic explaining the story method in his book called Learn to Remember. See the video description for book information. I think the best way to describe this memorization technique is to go through an example. So first, I selected a word or phrase that I could picture or visualize as an association with each verse. You can be creative here and make up your own word pictures. This doesn't mean I am interpreting these verses with these word pictures. It is only used as a memory aid. So for verse 3, flashlight was the word picture I came up with. Then tongue twister book was the word picture for verse 4. In verse 5, I thought about the Oxford Dictionary definition for the verb hem, which is to surround or restrict the space of movement of something or someone. This made me think of fence. Then in verse 6, I remembered visiting the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. One of the reading rooms is one of the largest in the world. The room is 125 feet tall or 38 meters high and has thousands of books. I was speechless when I looked around the room and its seemingly endless bookshelves. So this is the word picture that comes to mind for verse 6. Then I made up a fictional story using these 4 words or phrases. While I was hiking at a park, I misplaced my library book, so I took out my flashlight and found the tongue twister book by the fence, and then returned it to the Library of Congress. So the story methods help you connect a string of words or phrases. After I made up the story, it was so much easier for me to remember the order of these verses. Another way to practice verses you are learning is creating a password. This is a great way to include memorizing the Bible in your everyday activities without needing to add extra time. In this day and age, it is recommended to have a different password for each login. So when I had to create a new login, I used verse 1 from this psalm. For example, use the first letter of each word to create the password, which is highlighted in blue. Another memorization technique I used to learn Psalm 139 was rhythm. It was especially useful for verses 11 through 12, which have many synonyms. Since this is an intermediate level tutorial, I will briefly review what is the rhythm method. If you would like to learn more, check out my step-by-step videos. So to learn Bible verses to the rhythm is to say the underlined syllables to a steady beat. A beat with no word is marked by a green asterisk. I will share my example, but feel free to adapt to your pace, either faster or slower, or underline different syllables. I will say the entire psalm from beginning to end to a steady beat. I may add a beat to catch my breath where needed and then continue. So let's begin with counting the tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it altogether. You hem me in behind and before, and lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, I cannot attain it. Where shall I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, and the light about me be night. Even the darkness is not dark to you, the night is bright as the day, for darkness is as light with you. For you formed my inward parts, you knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, my soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them. How precious to me are your thoughts, O God! How vast is the sum of them! If I would count them, they are more than the sand. I awake, and I am still with you. Oh, that you would slay the wicked, O God! O men of blood, depart from me. They speak against you with malicious intent. Your enemies take your name in vain. Do I not hate those who hate you, O Lord? And do I not loathe those who rise up against you? I hate them with complete hatred. I count them my enemies. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any grievous way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. So I learned this psalm verse by verse for about a month, repeating it out loud to the rhythm until I could say them from memory without mistakes. Another memory tip is to understand the genre, writing style, and literary devices used in the passage. I found that the better I understood what I was memorizing, the easier it was to learn it, and more importantly, to apply it in my walk with Christ. While memorizing the Psalms, I learned about a common literary device used in biblical writings. I found the Christian Resource Institute's website helpful in explaining this literary device used in Psalms, the Book of Proverbs, and prophetic books, and I include the link in the video description. So what is parallelism? In summary, the first line or phrase starts an idea, and then the second or multiple subsequent lines correlate in some way to the first line. The additional line or lines may continue the same idea but with different wording, or it could provide a contrast. Let's look at how parallelism is used in verses 7 through 10. Verse 7 starts the idea that God is omnipresent and we cannot escape from his presence. The second line repeats this idea in different wording. Then the psalmist uses figurative language to describe that there is no place he could go where God is not there. There are many more memorization techniques we could cover, but we will end here. I hope this was helpful in not only how to learn this psalm, but how we can grow in our daily walk with Jesus Christ. If you have any questions or things you would like to see in future videos, feel free to post a comment or email me at renewourminds12@gmail.com. Thank you for watching.